Welcome to DV Live. This is the last installment of Cannes 2024. We've had a rewarding, productive, and exhausting week. I'm Steve Woolway. I lead the business development team here at Double Verify, and I am honored to be sitting next to Cavel, Chief Growth Officer of Group Black. Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks for having us, Steve. Love the yacht.
And so I have to ask, in your productive week here at Cannes, how many interviews have you done on a yacht?
It's the first one, believe it or not.
There you have it. DV and Group Black making yet another industry first. So listen, I'm a big admirer of Group Black. You have an innovative business model and you do a lot of good. Can you educate us? Let us learn more about Group Black and about your role over there.
So I'll start with my role. I am the Chief Growth Officer at Group Black, and that primarily means I'm responsible for the entire commercial organization at Group Black, so revenue organizations and sort of a lot of the supporting roles around that. Group Black is a media company focused on helping brands and agencies reach the new majority audience. And we're doing it in a way that sort of looks at the historical roadblocks that have impacted multicultural media or diverse-owned media, and sort of innovating around that to ensure that we're driving growth for brands. So what does that look like? That looks like we have a collective of diverse-owned companies, blogs, creators, technology companies, experiential companies, production companies, and we sort of become a one-stop shop, an easy button almost for brands to say, how do you reach scale? How do you not just reach, but how do you resonate with the new majority? And that's, primarily Black, but we're sort of looking at that more broadly. So looking at Hispanic AAPI to make sure that we are helping brands to grow in the long term and leveraging the infrastructure that we have to be able to do that.
It's an awesome business model, and I'm sure I can only imagine it's very complex, but you make it look really easy.
I'm glad it looks easy. We're like like a boat. It's smooth. It's going.
I love it.
The yacht is moving nice and smooth, but the propellers are going crazy underneath, right? To make sure it's looking that way, and that's sort of how we operate.
So you talked about your audience. You've got a very coveted audience.
Yeah.
What is the value that brings to advertisers?
So look, the most brands that deeply understand their business know that when they sort of look under the hood, who is driving our growth and where's our next 10 years worth of growth going to come from? And the reality, and this is primarily in the United States, although it does also resonate in other parts of the world, the demographics, if you look at the census data, indicate that all the growth, Gen Z, is more multicultural, more multiracial. And so if you're a brand, you have to figure out, okay, how do I get in front of that consumer and how do I drive ROI with them, right? And so that's the work that we do. We say, okay, how do we help you not just reach that audience, but how do we drive attentive reach? And our thesis is that, hey, you have to understand culture, because culture drives more of our decision making than anything else that we do, right? We are here in the south of France, and so there's a certain way that people dress when they're in the south of France. That's a cultural thing, right? If you are into sports and you are, I'm from New York, so if you're a Knicks or Nets fan, there's a certain way that you carry yourself, and there's certain colors that you might wear that indicate, hey, I am part of this culture. It's no different when you look at sort of the demographics, right? And so we help brands to understand that it's not just reaching them, but you have to create content that resonates, that taps into culture, but then you also have to deliver it in the places that it resonates. I'll use the easiest example. If you are a Black woman and you are reading Vogue and you are reading Essence, you're gonna notice something a little bit more when it's on Essence versus on Vogue. Not that you don't enjoy Vogue, that's why you read it, but you know that Essence is really tailored to you and your culture and what's important to you in a very different way than what Vogue is trying to achieve more broadly across women. And so those are the pieces that we're helping brands to understand, that it is about hyper-personalization that we have to get good at if you're going to drive, and that's the work that Group Black does, both in sort of a strategy, but also in a distribution and a creative way with brands.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. It's a huge value. We just spent a couple of minutes talking about it. How do you articulate that value to the masses of advertisers? How do you work that go-to-market?
So, it's a bit of what I call reverse engineering, right? We're not going to reshape advertising. There is an entire ecosystem that sits along this entire line of yachts here that have developed an incredible ad tech infrastructure, that have developed metrics, that have developed ways of buying, and brands know the different areas that they go, whether it's programmatic or it's in streaming or it's in video. Brands know what they want to buy. What we do is say, okay, here is the open space within that you are not capturing. And I'll give you a very quick example, right? We have a partnership, and we're going into year 2, and I'll touch more on it later, with NBC and streaming. Well, we partnered with NBC and we said, look, you have lots of content that appeal to African Americans, and you also have a really high multicultural audience that are in Peacock. However, we have an idea. Let us take your library content focused on African Americans, and let's create specific channels inside of Peacock that speak specifically to that. And what did we see? When we've been running for the last year, we did studies that sat across travel, financial services, CPG, and I'm forgetting what the fourth one is. I can't remember the fourth one, but four big categories. And across the board, when you looked at when brands ran just on NBC, did very well. But when they ran on NBC, but they wanted to reach an African American audience, so they ran with Group Black solution, which is called 365 Black Excellence, you saw double-digit growth in terms of your incremental reach, but also on your brand metrics, recommendations, consideration, ad recall. All the numbers were essentially up and to the right, in a lot of cases double digits. And that's the piece. When you know how to specifically speak to an audience, what resonates with them, it earns more for you.
Absolutely.
And so we're not sort of, we're pushing against the industry in a way to help them understand this is like a big opportunity that you are under investing in, but at the same time we're doing it in a way that is aligned with how we know you already buy and the metrics that you measure.
I'm telling you, that's where my admiration comes from, is you execute really well on delivering a ton of value, and you're doing a heck of a lot of good while you're at it.
And you all are a part of that, right? Because we know how important measurement and safety is. And so even the work you look at that we did to say, okay, when you're looking at culture and you go to a website and you're scanning it, there may be something culturally that has a very positive meaning, but that maybe a keyword or something that may trigger in a generic space means something different. And we work together to say, hey, okay, one, let's try to understand that cultural context, but two, let's say there is even a page on a website that, is a little ratchet. Yeah, you don't need to put an ad there, but there may be 2 or 3 other pages that are about clothing or food or anything else. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater, and we develop together the technology that allows you to say, okay, not on these pages, but on the other pages, unlocking more supply, which is something that the marketplace wants to see, and allowing them to reach more of that growth audience, the new majority that we talk about.
We're really proud of that collaboration. We're almost, I believe, a year up on that anniversary, and the anniversary of that. We are in the final stretches here at Cannes. What is your highlight of the week?
Well, my highlight of the week, selfishly, is our big announcement of year 2 with NBC, which is we are partnering with NBC to launch E+ in Peacock streaming. So coming in Q4, we will have a content hub that is even more focused on our growth audience, where we will not only have content from the library of Peacock, but Group Black will also be bringing new content that's going to attract more eyeballs, that's going to resonate more with audiences, and hopefully create a better environment for brands to come who look and say, hey, I know that this is my growth audience, right? If that's what you know, we're going to want to be the best place for you to reach that audience that's going to perform and hit your goals.
Oh, man. I was going to talk about the Olympic runner running down the cross site, but you totally outshined me.
Not too bad on that. And guess where the Olympics are going to be?
That's right.
NBC.
That's right. Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Steve. Thanks for having us.
You bet.